Oh, hi, didn't you see you there?
Who?
The audience of two.
Oh shit! Jesus.
There's three, but one accidentally clicked on this video, or their autoplay for some reason, never mind, no one's autoplay would suggest us.
We gotta put a bell on the audience so they stop sneaking up on us.
Yeah, what are you guys thinking?
What are you guys thinking? You know, we carefully lay out a series of Home Alone style traps in our recording dumpster.
Yeah, we give you the old hot doorknob.
Everyone knows the old hot doorknob.
It's a classic.
I'll be honest, that kind of sounds more like a sex move than a trap. You give her the old hot doorknob last night?
You give her the old slippery staircase.
How about the old paint can to the face? That one just sounds painful. I don't know if I like that one.
What about the old loose tarantula?
These are scary. Oh yeah, just doing a bunch of dropping jacks on the staircase? What? I can't even imagine that being a sex thing.
Give him the old
We're not here to
keep
talk
the
about
change, you
sex.
filthy animal.
He's right, though. We're not here to talk about an elaborate series of Home Alone style traps, I think.
No, we're here to talk about 3 shows.
Holy shit.
This is the lowest
So
amount I
much.
think we've ever had.
We're
We're gonna speed through them and end this in like 15 minutes.
No. What's gonna happen is we're gonna speed through the shows themselves, but we're gonna go off on some super random tangent.
You know what's sad? We could have gotten X-Arm like banged out today because by the time we record this, we're technically always behind on X-Arm. We could have just watched it and just done it, but no. We're just gonna drag it out into the awards next week.
There's nothing to be said for
now.
poor planning. It's too late now.
We can't go back.
Well, I mean, we probably could, but we won't because that's too much effort.
Yeah, we already started the call.
I mean, you want us
Do you
to
remember
stop
when we
the
used
call?
to not do a call? We used to sit in front of each other.
I do remember that. That was a thing that happened.
Yeah, it's been like more than a year.
It has. But I don't know. I'm out of transition. I don't know how to transition from that.
We don't have to do a transition. We can just
talk
start
about Otherside Picnic.
Yeah, Otherside
we'll-
Picnic, the final episode.
We'll make my lack of transition.
Shoot! Goddamn, shoot!
Goddamn!
Open fire! Kill it!
It's good shit. I love the Anguish.
The girls. Thank you, the girls.
Girls. I fucking
Rock,
love
the
that.
girls.
I love I love how that is just pure and simple a JP to EN transition or translation error, because it's just everyone just calls them the girls.
I'm glad we saved all of the remaining Marines.
Yeah, they fight a giant snake lady and no one even dies.
Yeah, because they drive a car into it, and Sorowo can see it for what it truly is. It's a weird series of rectangles.
It's just a series of rectangles.
It's rather obtuse.
It kind of is.
It is. And then they hit it with the crane, and then they destroy it, and everyone gets to go home. Of course, they don't leave with the Marines. They just go back their own way, which I feel like I would have probably just left with the Marines, probably a little safer.
I did think it was kind of funny. They were like, no, it felt like teenagers wanting to do a really dramatic thing where they're like,
when they're like,
no.
we could just go back, we can't go back that way because then we'll see the Marines and that'll be kind of awkward.
We'll have to find our other way out. I did like that.
Yeah, and they solved that relatively quickly, like the first 10 minutes.
They just kind of go,
And
and
then
then
the
that's
rest of the
that.
episode is them figuring out what to do with the tobacco thing.
Yeah, we finally, in the final episode, get resolution for the tobacco farming quandary.
Yeah, obviously it's a ongoing series still, so or there's more to the manga at least, so I'm assuming that's just yep, they got that now. If there was ever any more we would watch, they have that to make the job easier.
I guess, because the thing, like,
It's slower than walking,
it's so
but
slow.
they can store stuff on it.
I guess
It does seem impractical.
it's fine though. It's fine.
It's impractical and expensive. Also, they don't need to go to the elevator anymore because they found that there is a gate conveniently right next to where they parked the tobacco machine.
Yeah, it turns out girl in the chair just like has a gate in front of her house.
Which she is so happy to hear about.
Oh, she's just overjoyed. It's great. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, she's good. She has her little stuffed tanuki that she can hug.
Something tells me that's not ideal. It's fine. I mean, don't worry about it.
And then they just kind of have some back and forth about why they stick around with each other. And you know the real answer is because they like each other.
Cause it's Yuri. It's Yuri
Yuri.
manga. That's why.
But they don't expressly say it because I feel like Yuri manga is one of those things that is the biggest tease of all types of manga.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's like this is Yuri manga, but you'll never know that until either the last panel or the last 30 seconds of the show.
Yeah,
and even
they can't.
then, we might be still vague with it.
They can't just come out and tell you, cause like, where's the fun in that? I don't know. I got nothing.
You just gotta wonder for, 50 chapters. Are they friends or something else? And then in the last chapter, maybe you get like hand holding and a very passionate gaze, and that's it. Fade to credits or fade to black.
Yuri is a lot of people saying just how good of friends they are. If you want to read manga about people who just want to talk about how good friends they are, this is where you want to be.
Or then you get some Yuri series that it's not as subtle. Like, what's the one we watched last season?
Oh,
The one with
fuck.
the Schutz Angels.
Yeah, it was
Assault
a
Lily.
bad. Yeah, Salt Lily Bouquet. It was a gotcha ad.
Where their fan name around the school, their team name was Yuri.
Never forget.
Cause you Riri.
Never forget Yuri. There was something special about how on the nose Yuri that was. And then something not special about just a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, it was a advertisement for a gacha game that wasn't even out.
Yeah.
That
It's
has
a
never
shame.
bode well when you get the anime before the game.
No,
I've
one
never
might
remembered
even.
a time where the anime has come out and you sat there and thought, "Wow, this is going to be good."
It's because
It's always been a sort of situation where the game needs the help of the anime just to sort of get off the ground.
Yeah.
They're making an
And
anime for that new Scarlet Nexus game, I think, before the game comes out, which I'm like, oh no, because that's made by the Code Vein team, and I
I
really like
saw
Code
that.
Vein.
Code Vein is very good.
I don't know how I feel about Scarlet Nexus because I'm looking at some of the gameplay trailers for it. I'm like, it's all right.
I don't think I've actually like seen anything for Scarlet Nexus. Like I've seen that it's a thing, but I don't
Yeah,
think I've ever actually like watched it.
I've seen a few trailers, but mainly I'm sitting there going, give us Code Vein 2.
Give us Code Vein 2.
Fucking love Code Vein. Was a kind of easy, but a really good Soulsborne game.
Yes,
It did
Code
its own
Vein.
thing really well. I liked the Blood Veil system where you could just change your combat style based on your gear.
Yeah, that shit was awesome.
I liked making like a super cool caster build where you essentially get a specific sword with a specific sort of enchantment to it where every time you do a hit to an enemy, you just gain a blood ichor. So you just can get it back super fast, and then you just jump back and do all your casting.
That's wicked good.
Yeah, you can do a lot of interesting builds with it.
I can get down with that.
Also, the bayonet was a really cool idea for a weapon. I haven't played a game where using a bayonet like that is that interesting.
Yeah, because they just made like it's basically just a fucking gun. It's
Yeah,
just
you
like
shoot
here.
it and then you dash in and you do melee combos to get your ichor back, jump back, shoot.
Someone who designed that was like, you know what we need? We need something reminiscent of everybody's favorite era of combat. The era where people would just line up with one-shot rifles and just shoot at each other and then run at each other with pointy swords.
I forget what it was called, but you know how every single blood veil you would wear had a special sort of attack? Like some were the claw, some was the tail, like the scorpion tail, and then
Oh
other
yeah,
ones were the spikes that you can actually position.
that was cool.
I really liked the spikes.
The spikes were pretty good.
I also liked having a very light build because I think the dodging in that build is really cool because you're essentially just phasing. You don't
The
roll or anything, you just go zoom.
I think the dodging in general was very important. And I'm gonna take that to my grave. I
Code Vein
think I
felt
think
very good to play. Again, they could have made it harder because it was pretty easy. I
yeah.
think just because you always have a summon with you or a companion.
That's the thing. Even in portions without the summon, because I did try it for a while, it was still pretty easy.
Yeah,
But it's easy, but it's still good. And I feel like that's something that not a lot of games can really master.
the aesthetic was really cool, and it was cool how they leaned into it. They knew it was like, hey, this is a 2000s-esque edge fest with vampires and rock music.
Yeah.
We're just gonna lean into it.
I'm just gonna lean into it and it's gonna be really cool.
Are we ghosts or turning into something else? We're souls in this hell.
You love it. You
That's the
gotta love
only
it.
song you can play in bass, and I just love it. You just sit on the couch while that's just blasting in the background.
It always amused me that it's like this one song. You can play one song on the radio and that's it. That's all you get.
I
You want
always
more
felt
than that?
bad for the
Too fucking bad.
I always felt bad for I forget his name, but he was the dude you would talk to go into the depths.
Oh yeah, he was like the guy in the heavy armor, right?
Yeah, and then you go right up behind him, and that's where the radio is, and you just start blasting that song.
Just
It's like
right in his ear. Code Vein was good and I kind of miss it.
cool characters. You got Louis, you got Yamato, you got I forget the Russian girl's name.
Mia, I
Mia,
believe.
yeah. And then Jack was super cool. You thought, oh, he's gonna be a bad dude, and then actually he joins the party later.
And he joins the party later and he's actually just like the chillest dude ever.
Yeah, and he had a cool side story with the singing girl, whose name I forget.
Yeah.
I did the playthrough where you save everybody, because that was cool.
I feel like that's the best start for a playthrough is like,
Yeah,
let's
instead
see
of
what
the
it looks
misery
like.
one where everyone cares about does not make it.
Exactly.
I guess
Everyone
that
that
would
anyone
because that one feels more Dark Souls like. Where yep, you can't actually save everybody. You conclude their stories, but they all have sad endings.
Yeah. That's one thing I really like about Dark Souls is like everyone's storyline always ends sadly because once you've got nothing left in your story, it's like, well, guess I'm just gonna go hollow now.
I
I've
actually really did like Mito as the main villain.
Nito.
Mito,
Oh, Mito.
yeah, Juzo Mito, I think his full name is.
Yes,
How he was just basically the Subarashi villain.
he was
Like, I'm
great.
just gonna do crazy, wacky experiments on everybody.
I'm the
Who cares
bad
who
guy.
cares if it's ethical?
That stuff is always a lot of fun, especially because like everything is so edgy, and then you've just got this bad guy who's like, I don't give a fuck if what I'm doing is right or wrong, but I'm gonna do it.
And then he created those two people you have to fight with, which is the actual hard fight in the game, the not ONS fight.
Yes.
That one was the one fight where I'm like, oh, this is suddenly ramped up the difficulty. This is actually kind of difficult.
Hey, I didn't realize there was a hard fight in this game. And then you beat it, and then you've beaten the hard fight. Congratulations. You've done it.
I feel like they made Code Vein easier on release because remember we played the trial or the demo version they came out with, and it felt a little harder.
Oh yeah, it definitely felt wicked hard.
Because
Because
I remember Queen's Night and that was like difficult.
Queen's Knight was fucking hard. You had to try to beat her.
And then you actually fight the Queen's Knight, and he's just a pushover. It's like, oh, he's
Yeah.
not that bad. Granted, I knew his attack pattern by like heart, but it felt like if you did fuck up, it really didn't hit you for that much anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Still a good game.
Still a very good game.
Had nothing to do with Otherside Picnic, but still a good game.
You know what? We can because like there wasn't a whole lot to actually talk about with
Yeah,
Other
we'll
Side
do our
Picnic.
whole feelings of Otherside Picnic in the awards next week.
Yeah, that's what that shit is for.
Yep. Which, moving on, leads to X-Arm.
Yes.
This was another poorly shot episode.
This was like
There's one thing I watched this like a half hour ago, and really, nothing really stuck with me in it besides the one scene of when Beta becomes the giant monster, and it's showing the reaction of everybody in the city, and no one seems to really give a shit. Like, oh man, traffic at this hour. Daddy, look, a monster. Oh. But the traffic.
I'm very glad I was not the only one who noticed that. 'Cause like the fuck, guys, there's a giant monster and everyone's just like, man, all this traffic, I gotta get to freaking work. What is this bullshit? Like, no, dude, there's a monster outside. Do something.
Beta's voice actor must have had some fun recording this, because essentially they were like, all right, Beta's getting very big, so what we want you to do is become progressively more of an old man with your voice.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is that what you went with? That's the performance. I'm gonna destroy you.
I don't know why, but I'm very glad it was.
Why?
It's just a lot of fun.
The plan they had was kind of neat, but it looked bad because the shots were really weird. Where it's just way too many close-ups on his brother's face.
Yeah. Don't close up on the bad models. Especially when like it feels like it should have been so much more emotive and meaningful, but like he's just deadpan. And he's like, and now
Yeah.
I will kill you. Ha ha ha. And he blows up. He just blows up.
And we're still not done because apparently at the end of this episode, some of those U.S. planes got hijacked. So I'm assuming Beta uploaded his consciousness somewhere or something.
Yeah, probably. You thought it was a bad guy, but it was me. Better.
Yeah, it wasn't very good looking this episode because it was just mostly still shots of the JPEG of beta being just put over a city that's not really matching. Just
What
whoa.
what a bad JPEG. Like, oh my god.
Oh, then the part where he's flying away at the end and smiles, where it's just his 3D model over what's, again, clearly just a picture of a city, and it's blurry with that like pinkish purple filter that they use.
Yeah. It's bad. It's just bad. It's just like that's the long and short of it. It's just bad. I don't know. I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad X-Arm was a thing that I witnessed with my eyes. But
Oh
I
yeah,
would
no,
be
definitely.
I
It's
would
the
be
special kind of bad.
yeah. I would be so just
Because
okay
it's not
with it.
mediocre. It's bad. And that's better than being mediocre.
It's so bad, but it's just so much fun. The show embodies fun bad.
It's basically like a B movie.
It is.
What's that
They
guy on YouTube that makes the really bad films?
guy on YouTube that makes the really bad
He has a weird
films.
accent. You watch his stuff.
I
You're like,
watch.
guy, there's the new This Guy movie.
Oh, Neil Breen.
Yeah.
Neil Breen is fucking great. Yeah, he's something. I don't know. It's hard to quantify Neil Breen because he actually just is a filmmaker who makes films, but his vanity is astounding in every sense of the word.
Yeah, I guess that's the
He,
difference with this. No one was proud making this.
yeah. And I feel like it's also a lot more fun to watch like a crazy person make a bad film than just a bunch of incompetent people make a bad series.
It's why people like The Room, because Tommy Wiseau thinks it's a good movie.
Yes, that is a very, very accurate statement. Because holy shit, crazy people making bad vanity projects is an amazing genre of film and
This
needs to be celebrated.
honestly, what X-Arm is that final scene of Blood Debts where the dude takes out the gun, like the wrist gun, and shoots the other dude and he blows up and then immediately cut to credits.
Yes, this is 100% accurate.
That's
I
X-Arm. You're just sitting there going like, what the fuck did I watch? Who thought that was a good idea? How did this make it off the cutting room floor?
And you know what? That's a good goddamn question. How did this make it off the cutting room floor?
Like we've been saying, I can't wait for the making of the X-Arm documentary.
I want it. I need it even.
Speaking of need, you know
I
what I
have a
needed for a long time? I needed a house in Final Fantasy XIV.
You did?
And I fucking got one.
Congratulations.
Normally that shit is supposed to be a pain in the ass process, but I did it before work. Like, oh, cool, a house.
Hey, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah, this is the transition into the Final Fantasy XIV segment this week, where I got a house this week, and I'm pretty happy about that.
The boy has attained a house.
My friend stayed up for 3 days to get his house once.
3 days? Oh
Yes.
my god.
Because the way the housing system works, the housing system's really fucked because there is a limited number of plots. Like, they're actually like player neighborhoods, so you have people living near you and stuff. So it's like a whole neighborhood of players, but there's only so many houses that fill the neighborhoods.
Jeez.
So the way you get a house is if someone is just like quit the game for long enough, their house will go back up on the market. Basically, the way it works is you have to wait outside the house, like outside the plot of land. There's an invisible timer of when the house will be available for purchase. It could be between 30 minutes and 22 hours.
It's an invisible timer?
Yeah, they did this system so you can't like because people were being like you know, skeezy with it where they would buy houses and then they would sell them for like insane rates to other people. They'd be like, "All right, you just come to my house, I'll abandon it so you'll be the only person here to buy it, but you have
Jesus.
to pay me this much money." So they were doing that, and to curb that, they made it so there's an invisible timer. So you don't know when it's going to be available. So people will go to the house after they see it. Also has another timer where every like 2 hours or so it depreciates in value. So it gets cheaper to buy, but it only goes so low. But people will wait outside the house and click on the buy button, but it will say like house is not ready for purchase. And they will do this repeatedly over and over again to be the one person who clicks it at the exact right time.
Oh,
Yes. And I got super lucky where I went to a house because I got a rare item and I decided it was a haircut too because people really like cosmetic stuff. I got a rare hairstyle that sells for a lot, so I sold it. And then I woke up on like, I think it was Tuesday. I was like, oh, cool, that hairstyle I sold, or I sold, ended up getting bought by somebody. So now I have a bunch of money. This is the most money I've had. Maybe now I can finally get a house, but I know that that process is a big pain in the ass. And then I saw that there was a house on the market actually in like the beach area, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I went to it, and there was only like 3 people waiting outside of it, which usually isn't that. It's really not that much. And I'm like, oh, cool, but I got work later today, so maybe if this is like the beginning of the timer, I'll come back from work and they'll still be waiting here, meaning I can like try again later. And I was just sitting there tapping it, got myself some breakfast, walked back over, started pressing it again, and then boom, all of a sudden it's like land acquired
shit.
right before work.
That's pretty good.
I messaged my friend who spent 3 days trying to get his house, and all he responded to me with was just in all capitals, die.
I feel bad for him, but like, sometimes that's just how fate works out.
Ironically, too, our houses are in like the same exact spot.
Oh
We're just in
no.
different wards because the way they do it is they have different neighborhoods for like each of the city states. So like they have a different like theme and aesthetic to them. But there's different wards, so like instances of neighborhoods, just so that way there's at least like more options to get houses. Every now
Okay.
and then, because they'll add more. Just because they have to, whenever they do more housing stuff, it's a lot on their servers, so they basically have to get more server space for it constantly.
That makes sense.
So every time they get more servers for it, they'll add like in each district like 5 new wards, so 5 new sets of houses open up on the market, so like 5 new neighborhoods, and that's pretty
Damn.
cool.
I like that. That's pretty neat.
It's cool having a neighborhood, so you walk outside and you see another guy. He's got the big stupid chocobo house in front of you. You can like decorate your lawn and stuff.
I like that. That's
You can
neat.
put little things to help you too. Like you can put a mailbox on there so you don't have to go to a city to check your mail or anything. You can put like training dummies so you can like practice.
That's cool. That's good shit.
No, it is cool. It's like Animal Crossing. You can decorate. You can get really crazy with the decorations. One of my friends, he actually added multiple floors to his house because it's only a 2-story, the small house. You have a first floor and a basement, but he put a staircase up, took some of the wall panels and turned them sideways, so they're basically to make another floor. So he made himself a cool little loft area.
Damn. I didn't expect such a like intense level of house customization from this MMO.
No, it is. It's really crazy. Thankfully, if for newbie players or if you don't have a lot of money or the will to do all that to get a house, you can get an apartment, which is just kind of a one room, but you can still do all that customization stuff.
Okay.
Like for the longest time, I had an apartment, but I put some walls and a door up to kind of make it a divider, so it became a 2 room, and that was neat.
That's like it feels like shit that people would actually do to make their apartments more spacious. Like I feel like I would experience that on Home and Garden TV, where it's like if put up some dividers. You can really make the most out of this space.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I wanted the house though, just for like the status of having the house. And you can put
Yeah.
out if you have a yard, you can do a little more stuff. Like I mentioned, I think before that you can have like retainers who are sort of like your banks, but they also go on like quests and stuff for you. I can have them kind of hang out on my lawn now and just kind of go up to them and have them sell my stuff for me.
Hey, can we live inside the house? Do we have to live out on the lawn? No. NPCs sleep outside.
You live on the lawn.
Like
And I
a
can get like
dog.
merchants and stuff to kind of live inside too. Where it's like, hey,
That's-
I got someone to sell me some stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can change. You can choose too what they look like for when you place down like a merchant thing. You can be like, I want it to be this race and this gender.
Damn. Can't even be that choosy in real life. Sometimes you just get stuck with who you get stuck with.
Yeah, but instead you can be like, I want it to be all cat girls.
Give me all cat girls all the time.
It's only cat girls. Wait, it's all cat girls?
Always has been.
Always nyaz been.
Is this the evolution of the meme?
It could be.
Always has been. So that was
yeah,
our...
That was the Final Fantasy segment this week.
That
Play
was-
Final Fantasy 14. That's the thing.
I was playing a little bit yesterday.
I know. I know. It was one of those things where James was like, "Hey, do you see what I'm seeing?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Look at the Discord status of everybody." I'm like, "Why?"
Yep.
And then I looked and he's like, I'm like, I can't message him though. It's like when you finally get like the pet to come out and eat from the food or like drink from the water bowl. You don't want to scare him by being too excited.
I don't want to spook them.
Yeah, I don't want to spook him.
I was doing, because I have a lot of like, I'm doing all the introductory shit. That's what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
And it's an MMO, so there's tons of introductory stuff.
Yeah,
The
I was
introduction
skipping.
usually goes till like level 15, I think.
All right, that's good to know. I'm at level 9, I think, so I'm almost done with that.
Nice.
I'm
What'd you
skipping
pick for your first job?
Marauder, because I was like, I can do tank in anything I've ever played, so I'm gonna do that.
Wanted to do that instead of like gladiator. You wanted axe instead of sword and board.
Yeah, just because being a big, large, beefy boy just feels right to me.
Nice. Playing a big beefy boy.
I like, sometimes you just like playing a big, large, beefy boy.
A beef boy. Are you playing a Rogadin?
A Rogadin?
Those are the big like dudes.
Oh, no, I'm playing a dragon man.
Oh, you're playing an Aura?
Yes.
Yeah, they're the ones with like the horns and stuff, and they kind of got like scaly skin on like patches there of like their face.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those are
I'm
cool.
playing a dragon man. I'm being a
Nice.
little dragon man. And
Are you playing on the same server as your friend who plays it?
No. I was just like, yeah. Let's like play it. I'll just play the game.
Are you
My
on my
first-
server?
I don't know, to be totally honest.
All right.
Whenever I do an MMO, like, I'm feeling things out. So I want
get
my first man to be like my feeling man.
Yeah. No, I totally get that because when I started, most of my guild didn't even like play with me until I got to like level 50 because they didn't want to do a lot of the old content. They could, just they didn't want to, which I think is better because then I went through it and like got to experience it myself rather than like Nick and James who need me to show up for everything.
I will admit I'm skipping like a lot like story conversation segments because it's like, hey, let me tell you about the inception of the Marauders Guild. Hey, let me give you the history of the government of Limsa Limosa. And I'm like, I feel bad, but I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah, to be honest, the story doesn't really start really picking up and basing around you until like really Heavensward. Most of the ARR stuff is your standard adventure. It's just, hey, adventurer, world in danger, go do this stuff.
It definitely feels like that.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
then
not,
heavens where they're like, hey, this is about the writing now.
hey, we're going to be writing things now. We're going to be super serial about this.
Don't worry, it's time for Kino.
This is where the real good shit is.
Yeah. But no, I guess I guess we can end the Final Fantasy segment now that you're playing.
We can.
Or instead, this now evolves into the Ian's play log.
Yeah, we just talk about Final Fantasy.
Yeah, now you just give us updates. Like, hey, I went and did this the other day. I saw a naked cat man.
I went and I saw a naked cat man.
He was running around asking people for money.
We can do that.
Cool. It's evolved now.
Oh no, it's evolving.
Now you have to remove the disgruntled face from the timestamps.
I do. I need to. Well, I edit the timestamps, so I'll see it anyway. But I will remember to do that this week. You know what? I'll do one better. I'll change it to a little smiley face.
Damn. It's going to be a little smile.
I'm going all in, brother.
Sweet. I was actually, because when you did too, I like checked your Twitch. I'm like, is he streaming it or is he just playing it?
I don't want it to be that fresh if I ever stream it. It'll be like everything I've ever done, and it'll just like start one day where it's like, hey, this day I'm just going to be playing Final Fantasy, whatever.
Yeah, to be honest, ARR is not that great for streaming either.
That does not surprise me.
Shadowbringers, I think, is where like it'd probably be best, because I know a lot of people who do Shadowbringers reaction videos where people just watch the reaction to them streaming it.
Shadowbringers reaction videos.
That's the point where people would be watching and be like, oh my god, he's about to get to this part. And then your chat's full of people like, hey, he's about to get to spoilers.
Spoilers!
And then they spoil it. Then you ban them from your chat.
I don't want to do it, but I will if I have to.
Spoilers are a bannable offense in Ian's chat, I think. I don't know. That's a new rule I'm making up. If you spoil a game and test my Echo's chat, boom, you're out.
It's a rule you're making up for my chat.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you never know.
But that's cool. I'm glad you're finally playing and you're feeling things out. Also, good thing that you're playing a tank, because that means you'll get into dungeons quickly.
You know what? It does not surprise me that not a lot of people play tank.
It's tank. Healers get in like instantly. Healers, it's like you press the button and it's like, boom, ready to go.
Damn.
DPS,
maybe I'll pick
like...
up. Yeah, maybe I'll pick up that for like my off class, because I am known to be playing healers.
Healer is actually pretty fun in it, especially I really like Astrologian, because you get like their whole thing is drawing tarot cards and stuff, and you get a random tarot card. Some of them are melee buffs, some of them are range buffs, but it's all about like you draw the card and you like give the buff to one of your DPS, and it's pretty cool because there's some strategy behind like drawing your cards and redrawing.
That sounds like it'd be a lot of fun to mess around with.
It really is. It's a fun class.
I will have to remember that, because that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I was intimidated by healing before, but then I ended up playing Astrology, and I'm like, wow, this is a lot of fun. I really like doing this. I like the card system. I like placing down like all like the little orbs that turn into like big glowy planetarium stuff, because their whole thing's star related. Like, it's just fun.
You gotta give them credit for putting in just a shit ton of like unique gameplay mechanics for all these different classes. Like, you can tell they really wanted to make every class feel unique.
They really do. Like, you're playing as Marauder, which turns into Warrior. The main tank I play is Gunbreaker, and Gunbreaker feels like a DPS, but it's a tank. What
turns into Gunbreaker? Or do you just like, can you just be Gunbreaker later?
All the classes that they added post like ARR, none of them have prerequisite classes. They just start it themselves.
Oh.
To be Gunbreaker, you just have to be level 60.
That's cool.
Yeah, Gunbreaker, Dancer, Samurai, and Red Mage, you can just pick them up when you get to like level 50, then 60, depending on which one. And they can just be picked up in the core cities. For Dark Knight and Astrologian, they put them in Ishgard, which is the Heavensward City. So you can pick them up as soon as you get there. It's just you have to get to that expansion to get to them. So after that, they decided to not lock classes behind having to get to a certain location. So almost all of the other ones are just in the major cities.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You love to see developers learning from the past and being like, hey, this doesn't quite work as good as we want it to. So let's just make it better. Let's just make it better.
If you want to pick up a healer, you should pick up Scholar, because Scholar is really cool, because Scholar and Summoner are the only class in the game that kind of share a vessel almost, because you start out as Arcanist, and then you level up into that one, and whichever one you're leveling, it levels the other. So Summoner is a DPS, and Scholar is a healer, but they'll level up each other, no matter which one you're playing.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, you get like 2 in 1.
That's good shit.
Because they're both like they're the pet one, essentially. So like Scholar's the pet healer, like you summon a fairy, and Scholar's like the pet DPS, so you summon like all the elementals.
Okay, I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah. I was thinking of leveling up one just to have Scholar, because I want to do the shield healing. Because their whole thing is like they do shield buffs, which is neat.
That's cool shit.
A lot of fun.
So Scholar, Arcanist.
Yep. Arcanist is the base one, and then it becomes Scholar and Summoner.
Good to know.
You can always do that later. Don't be like Nick, who levels every single class under the sun, but never gets them past like 50.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with Marauder / Warrior.
Yeah.
And go from there.
And then when you get to 50, if you feel like it, you can just become a samurai.
I could just become a samurai.
That's what I did. I was leveling Paladin when I start, or Gladiator, then that Gladiator becomes Paladin. And then as soon as I hit 50, I was just like, man, I want to be a samurai. The whole reason I played this game was to be a samurai. So then I picked up Samurai.
I've been training since I picked up this game to become a samurai.
You have all like the cool like stuff too. Like you have like the dash where you like dash forward and like pull out your blade. You have the my favorite one is like your big finisher is where you sheath your sword and like lean back, and then you pull it out and it does like essentially Assassin from Fate Stay Night, where it's the multiple like cuts in one strike.
Oh yeah. The Kojiro's shit. I can't remember what it's called. The 3 swallow slash or something like that.
It's like his in the game it's called Madari Setsugeka, but I forget what his ability is called. But it's really cool just because of the visual effect of it. It's just like whoosh.
That's neat.
And every class has a limit break, which is like when you're in a party, there's like a special meter that builds up, and one person can spend it on like a special thing. For all the tanks, you don't really use it except special fights, because the tanks is just like a really big like defense buff to the whole group, which lets you survive like usually like insta kills.
That's good shit.
The healers only use theirs if everything. Basically, if the healer needs to use it, everything's already gone wrong. It's just like a group wide res.
Okay.
And then each of the DPS has their own special thing for it. The samurai, they do like the full like big slash and then slowly just sheath their blade after.
That's that good shit.
Just whoosh, and then the click.
The samurai click. That's what everyone wants to see.
Everybody wants to be a samurai.
That's true. Everyone does want to be a samurai.
I'm playing Red Mage right now, and everyone hates the Red Mage one because it's basically just this blinding ass light that so no one can see anytime a Red Mage does it.
All right, that's awesome.
The best is when you're in an alliance raid, which is like 3 parties of like 8, and all of their Red Mages do it at once.
Oh
so it's just like everybody's just staring into a white void for a few seconds.
Guys, the Red Mages are gonna activate their limit breaks. Everyone put on your sunglasses.
Everyone turn on your blinders.
Just turn off your monitors for a second.
I feel bad too whenever I do it, and it's like a very particularly like difficult fight where it's like, all right, guys, you won't be able to see the AoE markers for a quick second, so just be careful.
the strategy that has to go into that, where it's just like, yeah, I gotta make sure I activate this at the right moment so I don't blind everyone and then accidentally just wipe everyone.
Yeah, you come back, it's like the light clears out. All right, guys, I took out the... Oh,
Where'd everyone go?
just a bunch of dead bodies of all your allies lying around.
I see. Well, at least I survived.
At least I survived. And that's... You know what, guys? We can call that a win. Well, I guess I'll just take the loot and XP and see you guys later.
I think we can all agree that as long as I live, that's the important part.
Red Mage is really cool. It's like a caster that doesn't feel like it because you're a fencer. You basically cast from a distance, you build up this meter, and then you go and spend the meter on like big melee finishers. So you dash in, and you like do like the Zoro Z. Like shh, and then you jump back and do like this big backflip.
That's what you love to see.
But yeah, real fun. Glad you're playing. We should move on to Dr. Stone.
We should move on to Dr. Stone. Tsukasa is dying. He's dying.
They managed to do some surgery without anesthesia on him because, of course, he's a very tough guy.
He is the biggest, toughest man.
Even though I think the body itself just sort of goes into shock at a certain point.
Oh, yeah, he definitely would have passed out from shock. Shock and probably blood loss as well.
Yeah. They get him stitched up, but of course they know that that's only really going to slow the thing because he's going to go septic in a few days.
But how are you going to cure a man like that? You can't, like... What are they gonna... You can't just do sepsis. You can't just do that.
Then Senku realizes the only way to fix him is to pull a Walt Disney.
They're gonna cut off his head and freeze it in their freezer. And then they're gonna bring him back.
You know how at the end they're talking about going over to the Americas? What if they find Walt Disney after they get a technology to free Tsukasa? They find the frozen Walt Disney head.
They find the frozen Walt Disney head, and then they have to petrify it and then use the revival fluid on it so that they can bring back the frozen head of Walt Disney. It's the ultimate strategy.
I don't get why this chick likes Hyoga so much. Hyoga's a dick.
Hyoga's the biggest asshole who's ever lived.
I'm glad Yo didn't end up joining him like I thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, it all kind of shook out a lot differently than I expected it to.
It almost worked out better. Like, I thought Hyoga was going to escape, but nope, he's just there. They're still using revival fluid, so I guess they got back into the cave.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Tsukasa remembers every single statue he destroyed and the locations of all of them, which is really convenient.
There's something about that like... He said that.
I didn't really like that part, mostly because that was just trying to be like, there. So everyone who Tsukasa destroyed is being fixed. So technically Tsukasa didn't kill anybody, so he's not really a bad guy. It's like we can still like Tsukasa and have him have done bad stuff. That's not fixable. Yeah.
It was very it was very
it was very kid friendly.
Yeah.
They cleaned everything up. Because you can't like a murderer.
Because you can't like a murderer.
A murderer can't join the group and be best pals with everybody again.
I would disagree because Tsukasa is great. It feels like they wanted to have their cake and eat it too, where it was like, we want to both justify Tsukasa's line of thinking, but we also don't want it to actually have been a thing. So, like, they kind of did both, where they tried to get us to understand his reasoning, and then they were like, well, it's actually not that bad, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, they kind of whitewashed it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They whitewashed it.
That was a good final scene, though, with him and Senku just kind of having idle chit-chat.
That one got me.
And then his sister at the end kind of watching over him after now he's basically the one stuck asleep.
Yeah. There's there's a lot of
It was a strong final episode. This was a good season of Dr. Stone,
it really freaking was, dude.
which is why we're definitely taking, when it comes back, the season 3.
Oh hell yeah. GG easiest decision I ever made. Like it's just good. Like Dr. Stone is just really good.
It's the sleeper hit because everyone really likes Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer, but they forget Dr. Stone. It's also in Shonen Jump.
I really like Jujutsu Kaisen, but I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen has really cool fights, but when it comes to actual storytelling and writing, you got to go Dr. Stone. Like it's just so good. They just did such a good job.
That was a really powerful last episode.
Having two guys who kind of like acknowledge that they had to fight even though they didn't want to. Just they're chit-chatting as one of them's dying, and you can tell it emotionally affects Senku, which is rare.
Or then when the old guy kind of pushes Ginro and Chrome out of the room, being like, "Hey, if you had to kill your best friend, or if you had to kill your friend, would you want an audience?"
Exactly. Because that's what they are. That's what our boys are. They're friends now.
He's part of the kingdom of science.
A man who thought he would never join the kingdom of science is now a part of it.
Because that's nice when he's listening to all of them get all excited about science and stuff while he's laying there like, "Oh yeah, we're going to use that to freeze the fish. We can have sashimi all the time." And he's just kind of like, maybe I was wrong.
Maybe I was wrong.
And I like the part where they're all building a bunch of stuff and all the villagers and stuff are helping out with it. And all the modern people are just like, "I guess we're the primitives now."
Because they're like, here's how we built this cell phone. And everyone's like,
"Yeah, let me grab the gold wire."
Okay.
And Gen just tells them, "Yeah, it was kind of like that for me too." And I just laugh at this point. That's all I can do.
I like Gen. I like Gen a lot.
And now they're going to build a boat.
They need to build a boat because now we're in the age
this is
of
actually,
discovery.
compared to all the other stuff they did, this is probably a pretty easy and tame thing for them to do.
Yeah, because they just need to just build a boat.
Although, did we lose a lot of shipbuilding techniques?
Probably, if I had to guess.
Like, I thought like a lot of those were lost to history.
Yeah, like certain ones are. I think enough are around so like they can actually they can do it. But
yeah, because that's probably true. Because we still have old ships and stuff we can use as reference.
Right. I have faith.
We have one in Boston that just hangs out there.
Yeah, we just have a boat that chills out in Boston.
Constitution.
USS...
Have you ever been on the Constitution?
I have, actually.
I wouldn't want to sleep in the hammocks.
You know what? I wouldn't either. Because, like, it's uncomfortable. I don't particularly care for boats. I'm not what some might call a boat boy.
Ian is not I was about to say not a strong swimmer, but Ian's not a swimmer.
Yeah, just period. You don't even have to add a qualifying statement. I'm just not. I don't do the water.
Where me, like a fish. Throw me in there. Put me in, coach.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready to swim.
Splash.
Splish, splish, splash, and I'm taking a bath.
Yeah, I like swimming. Swimming's fun.
I like not drowning, so I'll stay on dry land. That's all I got.
Swimming's the closest I can get to flying.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Swimming's like
I can move
flying.
I can move 360 degrees.
Swimming is like flying, except if you breathe, you'll die.
I think I've always had the benefit too of being in pools as a kid. I've always been tall, so it's pretty easy to like. If I'm like, oh no, I'm in the deep end, all I have to do is just kind of bounce on my tippy toes.
That's true. I was a very short kid.
I remember I almost drowned once in my aunt's pool, although I wasn't really drowning because, everyone could kind of see me. Like I was, you know how most pools, like in-ground pools, have that sort of divider from the shallow end to the deep end?
Yeah.
I was playing near that and I like flipped over to the other side and I could feel myself sliding down like the slope and I was like, "Huh, huh, huh," and then my aunt just kind of lazily walks over and just like knocks me over to the other side.
That's good shit. Just
Yeah.
like, what? Yeah, he'll be fine.
Nick's not a good swimmer either, but that's because Nick gets in the water for like 2 minutes, then he'll get out and his lips will be blue and he'll be like shivering.
Does Nick have like anemia or something?
I don't
Is
know.
Nick okay?
Nick's just very thin. He has no body mass on him to like keep him warm, no blubber.
Not even I am that bad when it comes to the water.
Because I'm like, dude, why are your lips blue? It's July. We're swimming in July.
Even I, like...
Will you swim in above ground pools?
Um,
Where, like, if you stand up, it's at, like, waist high?
Probably not, but not for any, like, lack of swimming ability. It's just because, like, being wet is kind of inconvenient.
I mean, when it's hot out.
I guess, but we live in a day and age where I can just, like...
Yeah, that's true. I have a pool. I have not gone into my own pool in 3 years.
Because, like, you don't have to.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, I just got home from work. It's really hot, but I've stepped into my air-conditioned house and boom, I'm cool again.
We have the technology.
We have the science.
That's what it's all about.
That's
it's
why
all
I would.
about
That's
science.
why if I was in the army of might, I would defect because summer would roll around and I'm like, this is so fucking hot. I miss air conditioning. And then one dude's like, hey, we invented the refrigerator.
Hey, do you guys remember refrigeration? Sign me up, dude. What do I gotta do? I'll do anything. Do you want me to kill Sukasa in his sleep? I will do it. I will
Just give me air conditioning.
Let me not have to suffer. Please.
They didn't even have centralized heating before he came along. Fucking wood stoves.
It was bad. It was a bad time. And then Senku came along and was like, hey nerds, check it out. I've made everything great.
Senku, it's really good that Senku is essentially MacGyver.
Yeah. It would not have gone as far if he wasn't just like the best MacGyver science man that's ever lived.
Because even if we were, for some reason, the two people that awoke in a stone world, we'd be like, oh, we're just going to make this. But I have no idea how chemistry works. I know it needs chemistry. I know there are chemicals. I just don't know how they combine, where I get them, or anything like that.
I have absolutely no clue how to, like, I don't know how to distinguish between elements or like different metals and shit like that.
And don't even get me started on how to do physics. It's like, I just gotta do a little bit of math.
Yeah, let me do that in my head. Sorry. Sorry, homie, but that ain't me. No. Still, I'm pretty pleased about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped we're going to either North or South America.
He said the bottom of the world, and
so we're going to South America.
Yeah. We're going... I'm trying to remember. I think penguins live at the South Pole.
Oh, and we got a look at the next bad guy because this man had a crazy face.
Even though he was still a statue.
What was he doing before all the stone world kicked in?
It looked like he was doing a Thanos-style snap.
I also really liked how they had Yo mention when he got turned into a statue, he's like, I was pissing in public. And someone's like, weren't you a cop?
Yeah. I think it was
The strong
Shit.
girl.
Yeah, Nikki. Nikki was
Yeah.
like, "Weren't you a cop?" And she's right. He was a cop.
He was a bad cop.
He was the world's shittiest cop.
He was the world's like probably. There's, I don't know if I'd give him the shittiest title.
That's fair. He was the shittiest Japanese cop.
Yeah, because there's a
He
lot
was-
of cops that would give him a run for their money.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was such a bad cop that I named the episode where he shows up the world's worst, or like the most American Japanese cop or something like that. It was bad. He's a bad cop.
He's a bad cop and a bad man.
He's a bad man.
He's a bad man.
I'm not the bad guy.
But we are not the bad mans.
We're okay.
Next week is a pretty big episode. That's the award episode. People like those ones.
People do really like them because they're always very good.
This is also a weird season because, like, we're kind of feeling the same on almost everything. And it wasn't a very big pool this season to pick from, so who knows how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, there was, like, a lot of stuff was pretty okay.
Like, I don't even know who's the protagonist of Higurashi anymore, so that's going to be fun to try to pick.
We'll figure it out.
Like, is Satoko the protagonist or the antagonist at this point?
She's the... Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
We'll figure that out next week.
Yeah, that's a next week problem. If you want to stay tuned for our next week problems, then check us out on YouTube or basically wherever you can find a podcast. Like literally
There's a lot
any...
of places.
If you want updates on when we post and make other content, because we have some other projects in the work, follow us on social media. We would appreciate any showings of support via the YouTubes or the ratings on just anything.
Yeah,
Just
all those links in the description.
Yeah, tell people you like the show. We appreciate that. That's the best way to give us some support.
Be like, hey, I knew these indies before they were cool.
And you can truly say that you did know the indies before we were cool. Except we were always cool. But before everyone else knew we were cool too.
Or maybe we won't even be cool later.
Maybe we'll decline. We'll stop being cool.
We'll never be cool.
And if you want to keep abreast of when we're not cool anymore, then stay tuned.
Yeah.
And that's all we got for you this week. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Class dismissed.